It's a full-blown battle over impeachment playing out in Washington, D.C. President Trump blasting Democrats for their latest conspiratorial attacks. He was supposed to meet with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi this morning to talk about infrastructure. But right before, Pelosi said this.
It was a very positive meeting, a respectful sharing of ideas. We do believe that it's important to follow the facts. We believe that no one is above the law, including the President of the United States, and we believe that the President of the United States is engaged in a cover-up, and that was the nature of the meeting.
Ooh, after that stunt, Trump decided to blow up the meeting by calling out Schumer and Pelosi to their faces and walked away. He then headed to the Rose Garden, equipped with a classic Trump visual where he laid into Democrats.
All of a sudden, I hear last night they're going to have a meeting right before this meeting to talk about the I word. The I word. Instead of walking in happily into a meeting, I walk in to look at people that had just said that I was doing a cover-up. I don't do cover-ups. I told Senator Schumer, Speaker Pelosi, I want to do infrastructure. But you know what? You can't do it under these circumstances. So get these phony investigations over with.
Schumer and Pelosi responding by trying to spin the meeting.
I love this. To watch what happened in the White House would make your jaw drop. I was prepared to give him a 35-page plan. We are interested in doing infrastructure. It's clear the president isn't. But this was not a spontaneous move on the president's part. It was planned.
The president wasn't having it. He fired right back, tweeting, "The Democrats are tearing the country apart." But of course, Pelosi has since doubled down on her cover-up comment and claims it could be an impeachable offense. All right, Dana, it's pretty clear to the country that Nancy and Chuck cannot work with the president. So far, they've shut down the government, no border security, no infrastructure, investigations. It's a mess.
Right, so the Democrats, I'm trying to think of, like, what is the good news that they could point to in January that they have caused, right? Is there anything that has gone their way? Not really, okay? And now they might be able to spin a couple things, but they might say, well, the president's poll numbers are still down. However, the president can say, well, I might not be able to get a lot done with Congress, but the things I have done that are under my control, I've been able to execute on. And look at our economy, look at all, he could come, we have the list, we can go through the list. I think the thing about her, Nancy Pelosi, is she's super strategic. We know she's very wise. She's very good at politics. She didn't just say cover up as like an offhand remark. This was with deliberate intention because she's under the pressure from her grassroots.
She was forced to say that.
It gets under his skin, right? She loves to get him riled up so that then she can say, oh my gosh, you would not have believed the reaction. It was just overwhelming, and I have to pray for him.
But her caucus wants infrastructure and impeachment. She can't give them both.
That is true. What I also like about this idea is I'm just picturing it there in the cabinet room. The president walking in, not sitting down,
right.
Like, yeah, this stuff's over.
Yeah.
Like, we're not doing this. And if you think back to when his supporters would say in the primary elections, when he was beating all the Republicans, what do you like about him? And they would say, well, he tells it like it is. It was a charade to think, one, that infrastructure was going to get done anyway. They're so far apart. A 35-page plan doesn't work for anybody. Nobody needs a 35-page plan. He needs a one-page plan to see if they could do it. So that was a charade. It wasn't going to happen. The president's basically like, let's just stop pretending that you are here to help get me impeached, but to pretend like you are actually wanting to work on things. And he said, I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah, why would you negotiate, Greg, when someone has a knife to your throat?
This was a great example of when politics clashes with business, all right? What Nancy and Chuck did was planned, and it was political. And I would be pissed off, too. It'd be like Dana coming before the 5 and just announcing that she burned my house down. Now let's go do the 5. You don't do that. And so it's the different. When you're in business, no one before a meeting would accuse you of being a criminal. Right? But in politics, there is no such limitations. They'll call you a criminal, a war criminal, and then they'll have lunch with you. And then when they said, well, clearly he doesn't want infrastructure, how stupid do you think the American public is? He was pissed off because of what you did. He wants infrastructure. He's been doing infrastructure his entire life. I do love the fact that he brought visuals. That means, you know, he's incorporating Fox graphics into his display. And Trump's poll numbers might be down, but when you ask Americans what kind of job he's doing and if they are better off, they're way high. How stupid do you have to be to see how this plays out? Impeachment fails, Trump is a folk hero. Impeachment succeeds, he's a folk hero. And you have Pence as president, and you have Trump going around. He's not going anywhere. You're going to have 2 Republican presidents, and everybody who pushed the hysteria will be a laughingstock because they're not going to go and elect Bernie Sanders after this. No. You're going to have 75 million people who are pissed off, and they're going to reelect Pence. The point is, no, the pendulum swings. The more you jump over, the more you push, the more they push back. And that's what you're going to see with Brexit. That's what you're seeing right now with Farage. People are going after him, and it's just going to create more fans.
Juan, what do you think happened today?
Well, I'm so amazed to listen because it seems to me Trump did a big stunt in which he didn't know how to pay for infrastructure. That's what's going on in Washington. Last time that he was engaged in a conversation with Democrats about infrastructure, he got in trouble with fellow Republicans who said, hey, hold on, Mr. President, we're not raising taxes, we're not talking about a gas tax, we're not talking about repealing any of the tax cuts that you put in place, unpopular as they may be. But guess what? If you are serious about infrastructure, and the president in his last meeting with the Democrats said $2 trillion, you have to find the money somewhere. The revenue has to come from somewhere. And he doesn't know where to get the money.
Wait, you buy that? Wait, Juan,
that's the truth.
You buy that he sabotaged the meeting because he didn't know where the money was coming from?
Absolutely.
This guy doesn't care about where the money's coming from.
Well, somebody has to care. Somebody has to govern the country. And if you want infrastructure...
Ain't the Democrats.
Well, let me just tell you something.
Juan, let me ask you a question.
No.
Okay,
let me finish.
Okay, finish.
Because guess what? You talk about pre-planned. What was pre-planned was his Rose Garden ceremony before they even got to the White House. How do you think they had that sign out there?
Juan, maybe that Pelosi was the one who miscalculated because she was forced by her caucus to say something aggressive. She miscalculated, accused the president of a criminal cover-up, and now the American people don't have the infrastructure that they want.
Are you kidding me? She's not responsible. First of all, what a crazy thing he said when he said nothing will get done until these investigations. Well, that means, guess what, Mr. President? The investigations are not going to stop. So you're saying the country is not going to be governed.
We had 2 years of investigations.
Bill Clinton was being impeached, and he worked on the S-chip bill in terms of helping young people get health care.
And his approval numbers went up as he...
Yeah, but this guy said, Dana, he's not going to do anything.
The Democrats are I'm coming out calmly. Yeah. The Democrats are so transparent that they are willing to sabotage their own purported interests or the interests of their constituents rather than give Trump an inch, not even a victory, just an inch. And what I mean by that is it was so obvious that, yes, this is a charade. Yes, this was planned. Yes, this was strategy. Of course, it was Pelosi tossing a lit match onto the bundle of cinder that is Trump when she says there's a cover-up and has these buzzwords. Of course, he's going to freak out. So it was so transparent to people like us. And the worst part is that infrastructure is bipartisan. And the money is absolutely there when there's projected $3 trillion in audits uncovered in the government in terms of like slashing spending. The money's absolutely there. That's not the issue. The issue is that these guys are putting the deal before themselves in terms of what it represents. Like if Schumer and Pelosi were actually interested in infrastructure, they wouldn't have pulled this stunt. And Schumer, it was like the Nicene Creed. We believe in this and we believe in this. Like the whole thing is such a farce from top to bottom.
So in other words, you think there's money. You think there's money sitting there, but I don't think the president thinks that.
Juan, it's not about money.
True and unrelated.
It's not about money. They're accusing the president of covering up a crime that never happened.
The Russian interference never happened.
Did you read
that's what we conclude. I love how he shifted that. He said Russian interference. He didn't say collusion. He already blew it. No. You had enough. You had enough, Juan. You had enough, Juan. I love the use of the phrase cover up on the same day the investigation into the Virginia governor Northrop, who may or may not have been covered up in blackface. That's the cover up.
All right.